Welcome back. Alcohol use in the time of COVID remains a thorny issue. Government argues misuse is putting a strain on hospitals. But liquor traders say they can't make a living and are hoping they'll be allowed to sell alcohol again from tomorrow. To discuss this further, we're joined by Maurice Smithers, Director of the Southern African Policy Alliance in SA. Of course, he's joining me now to just further look into this. A very good morning to you, Maurice. Thank you so much for your time. So, what are you guys hoping to hear from the President this evening, considering that there are calls for this adjusted level 4 lockdown, the restrictions at least, to be extended?
Well, look, I think we're all hoping that the President's going to announce that there's an improvement and that we are getting over the third wave and that there is a possibility that we can move out of the current lockdown in some form or another. Unfortunately, as you point out, it seems as though a lot of people are saying that that is unlikely to happen, that the situation is still pretty dire, and a lot of experts have said that they actually, including medical experts, have said that they expect that the lockdown will continue. And so there is obviously a possibility that the lockdown, that the restrictions on alcohol will continue as they are. From our point of view, our hope is that whatever government does is going to be in the interests of dealing with the virus. Obviously, we are concerned, as are many other people, about the economic impact of the restrictions on alcohol. However, we feel that government needs to move very cautiously in deciding how to deal with the issue of alcohol. And
I want to come to that point of you saying that government moves cautiously. 2 months ago, SAPA was saying that, or rather at least had suggested a tailored restrictions for the alcohol industry so as to deal with the situation, at least from a point of trauma cases, in cases of gatherings, because of course, you know, where there is alcohol, you can almost expect there to be gatherings. And of course, the matter of when you are inebriated, that making sure that you sanitize, social distance and such, following the usual protocols of COVID-19 regulations are really not really respected as they should. And therefore, you guys were calling for those restrictions for the alcohol industry. Do you now feel, because there is a total shutdown and not just tailored restrictions, that the total shutdown of alcohol was perhaps a bit harsh?
You know, a paper was released recently by Professor Moultrie from UCT and various other researchers, in which they looked at the impact on unnatural deaths of the various stages of the pandemic since March last year. And what they discovered was that at the time of the 3 complete bans, the drop in unnatural deaths, which would be things like interpersonal violence, car crashes, suicides and the like, the drop in unnatural deaths over and above what was expected to happen based on previous figures was between 26 and 49%. In between the bans, what they discovered was that when alcohol was restricted at off-consumption outlets, and you know that many occasions when government has been trying to deal with the pandemic, they've restricted sales of alcohol at off-consumption outlets, i.e. bottle stores, etc., from only selling from Monday to Thursday perhaps, and then Friday to Sunday not allowing the sales of alcohol. On those occasions, there was almost zero impact on unnatural deaths. However, there was one occasion, and that was directly after the first ban, back in June last year, between June the 1st and the 11th of July. On that occasion, government banned the sale of on-consumption alcohol, and that had a 13% impact on unnatural deaths. So that paper actually proved a point that we'd been making all along, is that if you are going to have restrictions, and if you don't have a complete ban, and we know that bans do work from that paper, But if you're not going to have a complete ban, then the best thing to target is on consumption outlets, because those are the places where, as you point out, the virus can be spread, and they are more likely to be the places that result in things like interpersonal violence and car crashes, which then result in pressure on the hospitals. And that, in fact, is the pattern that has been used overseas in most countries where there have been restrictions on alcohol, is that they've closed down pubs, restaurants, taverns, and so on, but allowed people to buy alcohol and take it home. Yeah. So that's what we mean by having a targeted approach, is try and avoid a complete ban if possible, because a complete ban does result in unintended consequences like economic harm, especially to small traders, and it also results in an increase in illicit alcohol. But if you're not going to do a complete ban, then target the on-consumption outlets. And that's what we hope that government will announce tomorrow, today, if they decide to move away from the complete ban. Otherwise, just going back to closing bottle stores on the weekends is actually going to have no impact whatsoever.
Well, we will hear what the President says to the nation this evening. Thank you very much, Maurice, for your time here on the South African Morning.